China is dropping their new 5-year plan this week. Let's see what it means for the world. Today's whiteboard is a deep dive into China's next 5-year plan. This is the 15th 5-year plan of the Chinese Communist Party, and they're currently meeting in Beijing to talk about it. We don't have all of the details, but we know what the 5 main pillars are going to be. Let's start with GDP. Policymakers are targeting 4.5 to 5% GDP. This is a modest slowing of previous targets of 5 to 6% growth. And there is a reason for that. China has grown extremely quickly over the last 5 years. In fact, really since the year 2000 when they entered the World Trade Organization. However, there's a danger here. When an economy grows too quickly, it becomes fragile because there are inefficiencies which are built into rapid growth. That's what a lot of this plan is about, slowing growth to focus on quality and sustainability. Let's talk about strategic reordering. That's backward. Strategic reorder. This is about shifting industrial policy and climbing the value chain. But what does any of that mean? China's economy grew by leaps and bounds by manufacturing technology at scale. But manufacturing is lower on the value chain than, say, research and development. If you can create the products and then manufacture them and then ship them all in the same place, your economy booms. That's what strategic reordering is about. It says that we're going to scale and build our own indigenous ideas. And this has everything to do with artificial intelligence, which the Chinese are trying to bring onshore as much as possible. That means indigenous models, indigenous power production, chip production, and data storage centers. They're doubling and tripling down on AI so hard that they're actually calling it AI plus. This is sort of folding AI into everything to reduce inefficiencies and increase growth. And that has everything to do with our next pillar, involution. Involution is like the new Chinese tech buzzword, like disruption was 10 years ago. Anyway, China has an involution problem. It means that you have companies and individuals fighting each other through knockdown, drag-out, innovation competition, and pricing competition. In a Western capitalist context, we see this as good because we think that competition will likely produce better outcomes for customers in terms of products and services. But China sees this as a waste of energy and collaborative capability. So we want less internal competition so that we can be more competitive internationally. Speaking of international stuff, let's talk about carbon emission. The Chinese are setting their carbon reduction to 17% by 2030. This actually doesn't match what they said they would do under the Paris Agreement, but there's a reason. They're just giving themselves a little bit more carbon as a treat. The first is they're a major manufacturing power. The second is they are committing to massive military modernization. Basically, anything with the military is the most carbon intensive thing you can do as a country. So, still reducing carbon, not meeting Paris Agreement. Gonna have a big military. But to have that big military, you need people. Now, where are they gonna come? I'm so glad you asked. Babies. We want more of them. The CCP is trying to spur demographic growth. They're doing this by creating better tax incentives for having children and all sorts of other policies. The reason being that their demography is just way too old. And in an economy, if you want to be a functioning global economy, you need entrants into the economy who are going to take care of the older occupants of the economy. Older people are a net negative on the economy, whereas younger people are net positive. That's not a value judgment. We love you, oldie. But we need more babies. Okay, so I saved the biggest one for last, and that is internationalization of the RMB. That's right, the Chinese currency is going global. China has a stranglehold on its currency. This is because top-down control of a currency makes it politically predictable. When you reduce political risk, you make it more attractive to international investors. I'm not going to invest in a Bulgarian wood chip factory if I think that that bank is going to go insolvent overnight. That actually happened to a friend of mine. China backs their currency to make it more attractive for international investment. But it also operates as a trade currency rather than a reserve currency. Historically, the RMB has been for settlements and not international reserve like the dollar. Once a currency becomes the default, it becomes incredibly hard to replace. But doing this carries with it some danger. That's because when you internationalize the RMB, you have less control over it. Capital flight, where the Chinese want to get their currency out of the country and invest in other countries, becomes a very real issue. This can lead to financial and political instability. If the economy of China is strong and reliable enough, then an international RMB will not supplant the dollar, but it will reduce some of the stress that the dollar's value can put on the Chinese economy. Oh my God, I'm glad I said that one day. All right, so these are the 5 pillars. Strategic reordering, better quality, better technology, Papa John's. Fighting involution, less internal competition. Demographic growth, more babies. Cut carbon kinda, but still get that military. And the RMB goes global. Follow, subscribe, and share for more geopolitical nonsense.